again, thank you for being with us here on The Hill tonight.
Thank you.
Of course. Let me take you out to Nevada for a second, Ian, because of all the 7 key swing states, that's the bluest of the blue. And when we look at ballots that have been returned in Nevada right now, more ballots have been returned for Republicans than for Democrats. If that's the bluest of the blue and those are the numbers right now, how do you win Nevada? And how much does that concern your campaign?
Yeah, well, when you look at Nevada, something that we're seeing in the data is that a lot of the Republicans who are voting early this time are actually previous election day voters for Donald Trump. And there's a real reason for that. In 2020, when Donald Trump was running, he was attacking early voting as fraudulent and not something that could be trusted. Mail voting was not to be trusted. He kept saying that over and over again. This time, Tim and their campaign are actually encouraging people to go vote early. And what we're seeing in Nevada specifically is of the Republican early voters who have participated, they are people who voted on previous election days 3 times more than Democrats who have voted early who previously voted on election day. So what we see is happening in Nevada is people who were prior election day voters for Donald Trump are just getting their vote cast early. We feel good that we're on track to hit our win number in Nevada, even with the numbers that you're seeing there.
To the southeast we go, Ian. There's been a lot of talk about black voters and the challenges that the Democratic nominee has had this go around with black voters, specifically black men. In Georgia, 26% of the early voting absentee ballots come from black voters. In North Carolina, 17%. Those are both below the black population in that state. If that's going to be the trend, what does that mean for Kamala Harris? Or do you not believe that's going to be the trend?
We feel good about what we're seeing there because, in fact, the early vote is starting to track similarly to the percentage of the electorate that black voters are and have been in past elections there. And so we feel good about the momentum that we have. We are seeing growth and uptick in support in the black community across the electorate in the battleground states in the early vote as we get closer and closer to Election Day. We feel like that's going to continue. And it's because, look, you know, voters out there are making up their minds. Voters out there are deciding to cast their ballots now. Sometimes the closer you get to Election Day, the more and more people actually participate in the process. They wait until, you know, the end. I just cast my early ballot on Tuesday. So, you know, things start to come into shape as we get closer and closer to Election Day. But we like where we are. We're seeing strong support in the black community. We have seen some of the public polling just in the last couple of weeks that's come out and showed equivalent performance in the black community for Vice President Harris that we saw in 2020 for President Biden when obviously he won and beat Donald Trump. And so we think we have really strong support and we're confident about Tuesday.
I'll ask you the same question I asked him. Again, whether it's Trump or Harris in the 7 key swing states, the top number is 48.6 to 49.3. It is remarkably tight. And there are real chances that neither of these candidates hit 50% in the key swing states. The X factor from the Harris campaign, as you believe it tonight with 4 days to go, Ian, is what?
Well, undecideds are breaking our way. We're seeing that in our data by double digits. We've also seen that tracking in the New York Times poll that people who've made up their mind late are going for Vice President Harris by double digits. We see it because people are getting a crystal clear choice between the 2 candidates. A candidate on Tuesday, we heard from the Vice President saying that she wants to bring Americans together, focus on her to-do list for the American people, while Donald Trump attacks his political enemies on an enemies list. And we just saw that with Liz Cheney last night. You know, I think the only thing I'm jealous of Tim right now is that I saw he was in West Palm Beach, which does seem like a nice place to be weather-wise right now. I wouldn't want to be their campaign. We have momentum. In Gallup yesterday, we have a 10-point enthusiasm advantage over the Republicans. And so I think that we are making the kind of momentum at the end that you want to see, and you want to be in our position, not in Donald Trump's position, because people are seeing sort of what he represents, the division, the chaos going backwards here at the close.
Ian Sams with the Harris campaign, thank you, sir. And again, Tim Murtaugh, who might have been listening in on the back end, thank you as well. We appreciate both of you being here on The Hill. Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.